Welcome back to Tone Film. How's everyone doing? Today, I've brought something I know you're all going to love, the third part of the Avatar franchise, Avatar: Fire and Ash. Story of Avatar Part 1. Since Earth's resources were completely depleted, humans headed to a planet called Pandora to mine a precious mineral. But the native Na'vi people stood in their way. To clear them out, humans created an avatar, a biological hybrid body, and sent former Marine Jake Sully into it. However, once there, Jake was moved by the love of the people and the beauty of nature. Ultimately, he turned against his own race and fought for the people of Pandora to save them. That's the story of the first film, and the story of Avatar: The Way of Water, Part 2. The sequel came out 12 years later in 2022. After winning the first battle, Jake Sully married Neytiri and was living happily with their kids. But the humans returned to Pandora. This time, the old villain, Colonel Quaritch, returned in an avatar body specifically to kill Jake. To protect his people from the danger he brought, Jake took his family away from the forest and sought refuge with the Metkayina, a clan of reef-dwelling Na'vi. How Jake's family adapted to the ocean life and their customs, and how they eventually teamed up to defeat the humans chasing them, makes up the rest of the story. Avatar: Fire and Ash, Part 3. Following those two films, we are now looking at the third installment releasing in 2025, Avatar: Fire and Ash. The story kicks off with Jake Sully's family thinking that living with the Metkayina would be a safe haven, where they could just disappear and live in peace. But after losing a part of their soul, peace became a meaningless word. The Sully family is now in deep, unending grief. Their eldest son, Netiam, is dead, right? That pain surrounds them like a permanent eclipse. Because of this, their new home feels like a place filled only with sorrow. For his mother, Neytiri, this grief isn't just sadness. It has turned into a heavy, hardened hatred in her heart. Every human face she sees reminds her of the bullet that took her eldest son. To her, these sky people aren't just invaders from Earth. They are like a plague that will destroy everything wherever they go, just like they did to Earth. Everything on Pandora changed once the human trading ships arrived. The very problem Jake's family feared, the humans, has found them again in the reef. It becomes clear that staying together is now too dangerous for everyone. So the family is forced to make a very difficult decision. For the safety of the human boy, Spider, and because he can no longer stay there, Jake and Neytiri decide he must leave. Spider needs a mask to breathe, and it's just not safe anymore. How long can he survive relying on a single battery? So the Sully family decides he needs to go back to the human research bridgehead and prepares to send him off. Even though it's heartbreaking for the other kids, there's no other way. Jake doesn't send him alone, the whole family goes along to see him off. Their journey turns out to be long and incredibly dangerous. While traveling by air, a massive threat heads their way. A tribe called the Mangwan attacks them. Their leader is a cruel woman named Varang. Her tribe doesn't see the trading ship as a threat, they see it as prey. Think of them as pirates of the sky instead of the sea. In the battle for the ship, the tribe sets the vessel on fire using Suicide Squad tactics. In the midst of the fire and the fighting, Jake Sully's family gets separated. The kids end up in one place, his wife in another, and a wounded Jake finds himself all alone. While searching for his children, Jake runs into his arch-enemy, Quaritch. Before he can kill him, Jake reminds him that Spider, the villain's own son, is there too. Jake tells him what happened and that everyone is trapped, and they must work together to save them. So the old enemies join forces. With no other choice and wanting to save his son, Quaritch spares Jake's life for the time being. Both of them work together, driven by the goal of saving Spider before the tribe or the fire gets to him. For Jake, the priority is saving his entire family. Meanwhile, the oxygen level in Spider's mask is dropping fast. He only has a few minutes left. The very air of Pandora, where he was born and raised, is becoming his killer. Eventually, he suffocates and collapses. His siblings, who love him like their own, are devastated. Just like how the seeds of the sacred tree saved Jake Sully in the first movie, they appear again for Spider. At that moment, Kiri, the girl chosen by Awa, uses her intuition and performs a sort of miracle that allows Spider to breathe the planet's air. Spider is now fully bonded with that world. He doesn't need a mask anymore. Spider has been reborn. Just then, the evil tribe arrives and captures them. At the same time, Quaritch and Jake arrive to rescue the kids but get caught by the villainous Varang. Varang asks Quaritch how to use a gun, and he shows her. In that moment, Kiri's power reaches a terrifying level. Without saying a word, she connects her neural cue to the roots, communicating with the plants and commanding them to attack. The roots and vines of Pandora turn into deadly weapons, silently taking down the Mangwan guards. Using the chaos, the Sully family escapes and disappears back into the forest. After Jake Sully's family reaches safety, everyone checks on Spider in total disbelief. Seeing a human exist on Pandora for the first time without a mask leaves them stunned. The scientists there realize this wasn't just an accident, it's a massive biological revolution. They think they can use this change to let every human on Pandora breathe without a mask. But the transformation goes much deeper than that. A neural cue has actually grown on Spider's head. Through this, he can connect with other animals and trees. Just as he always dreamed, he can now physically bond with the creatures of Pandora. While Kiri is trying to understand her own identity, who she is and how she's able to do all this, Quaritch is looking to build a new power base. He goes alone to the Mangwan village. The people there think they can take him down easily, but his men are ready for a hidden ambush. By showing his strength, he wins over the evil villain Varang and forms a powerful alliance. The combination of human firepower and a ruthless Na'vi tribe is going to be a massive threat to Jake Sully's family. Spider is just starting to feel like a true Na'vi local, but his past keeps catching up with him. Despite Kiri's best efforts to protect him, the human attacks happen too fast. Spider is kidnapped again. Even though he's human, he ends up back in the hands of his own father Quaritch, who doesn't show him a shred of mercy. Quaritch hasn't just come back with guns this time, he has a Na'vi army behind him. To make sure the innocent Metkayina people aren't destroyed, Jake Sully makes a huge sacrifice. He agrees to surrender himself to Quaritch on the condition that the Metkayina are left alone to live in peace. Jake and Spider are taken as prisoners to Bridgehead City. On another side, the boy Loak, who was saved by the great sea creatures, witnesses a sacred sight. Hundreds of Tulkun whales are gathering for their annual spirit communion. It's a peaceful spiritual event that happens every year. But to the humans, this isn't a miracle. It's just a profitable hunt. As the Tulkuns gather to pray, the RDA ships prepare to strike. There is one good man there named Godwin. He begs them to stop and warns them, but no one listens. A massacre is being planned that will turn Pandora's blue seas red with blood. While the scientists are running experiments on Spider's body, Jake is nearing the end of his life. They are going to execute him. They want to display him as a trophy, the hunter who was finally caught. As the time for his execution nears, new players arrive, Norm Spellman and his team. A riot breaks out within the steel rooms. A war erupts between Neytiri's silent arrows and modern machinery. The area turns into a massive battlefield. During the chaos, Spider escapes and fights to save Jake's life. He knows they won't hurt him because Quaritch is his father. He uses this chance to rescue Jake. In that moment, Jake, Neytiri, and Spider all manage to escape. On the way out, Jake makes a brutal decision. Thinking like a soldier instead of a father, he feels that killing Spider is the only way to protect Pandora. He's terrified that if humans learn how to live without masks through Spider, they'll spread across Pandora and wipe out the Na'vi race. But Neytiri refuses. At one point, Jake takes Spider alone into the forest. But looking into his eyes as a father, Jake loses his nerve. He lets him go unharmed. Even with total destruction staring them in the face, the Tulkun elders still stick to their path of non-violence. But Loak believes the Tulkuns will only change their minds if they see the truth. He arrives at the gathering with Payakan and Tanok. After seeing the scars on their bodies, the elders finally realize that staying peaceful will only lead to extinction. Jake rallies all the Na'vi tribes together. The grief of losing his son and the fear for his daughter turn into a singular mission. They now stand as an army ready to protect the Great Ocean. The war begins. The beach battle becomes a bloodbath. Amidst the explosions and screaming banshees, tragedy strikes the Metkayina family. Ronal, the tribal Tsahik who is pregnant, is heavily wounded on the battlefield. In her final moments, she gives birth to a baby named Prill and passes away. The situation gets desperate. Neytiri, holding the newborn, is captured by the Mangwan and taken to the RDA ship. Jake realizes the grim truth. He is lost. As Kiri fights alongside her brothers, her voice reaches the Great Mother, Awa. The next second, Pandora answers. The forest animals swarm together and attack the RDA forces. This rage of nature leaves the humans completely devastated. Using the opening Kiri created, Neytiri breaks free. The massive ship slowly starts to break apart. In the vortex of the ship splitting in two, Jake and Quaritch are thrown together. Even as the world is ending around them, their feud doesn't stop. Spider follows them into the wreckage. In a moment where Spider is about to die, the two enemies actually work together to save him. But that peace is short-lived. When Neytiri and the kids arrive on their flying mounts to rescue them, Quaritch realizes he's beaten. Rather than dying at Neytiri's hands again, Quaritch decides to take his own life. The Sully family is finally back together. After the war ends, Spider reaches the sacred spirit tree of the Metcayina. When he bonds with the tree, he is welcomed by the ancestors. In that holy place, Kiri gives Spider a massive gift. She lets him spiritually meet his mother Grace, whom he never knew. With the blessing of the ancestors, the final rites are performed for Spider. He's no longer an outsider. Spider is now officially a Na'vi warrior. He has finally found his true home. And that's how Avatar Fire and Ash ends. A deep thank you to everyone who watched until the end. I'll see you all again with another great movie.